Hey guys, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at our first project, the social ad edit. It is a new intern, the head editor, is giving you a foundational editing task. We're going to model after another successful video ad and make a new version of an existing video ad for the client. Your task is to download the folder of assets, organize and edit them into a new sub 1 minute video ad. Add music, sound effects, B-roll, stock footage, screenshots, motion graphics, subtitles, everything you need for an official social media ad. And then we're going to make both widescreen and vertical video formats, 16:9 widescreen and 9:16 tall screen versions to be used on different social platforms. So step one, download and organize the footage into a common media folder and ensure everything's in its correct locations. So you can see I've downloaded this zip file right here. So let's go ahead and work our way through that. I'm going to delete the old one and let's just walk our way through it. So we can double click to unzip the zip file, and that will put a folder right next to it. Go ahead and you can pause and command tab the video if you need to switch back and forth between this. That gives us a common media folder, the instructions, and our social ad files. So this is the way you might get it from a company or somebody, a client that's bringing in a bunch of files, and if you're lucky, they will have organized them this well. In most cases, it might just be literally a pile of audio and video files all in one big folder. So figuring out what's what would be a pain. But something you have to do a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and unzip the common media folder as well. So let's double click that, and that's going to give us a folder that has a file structure that we can move all of our stuff into. So that's important. Let's go ahead and organize this. So I'm going to go ahead and just open a new window, Command N, and let's go to the desktop. So Shift Command D will take me to the desktop, and I want to move all of the files from the clients folder, so this A-roll and graphics, over to the correct assets folders over here. So let's go through. I'm going to take this A-roll, and I can see this is a move file. If I hit the space bar, that will toggle it up here as a video file, so I can preview this. All right, perfect. Let's move that. I'm going to copy, Command C, and come over to my original assets folder. So original assets is what contains anything that was captured on set or at the shoot. And I'm going to put that here into production footage. And to move it, in order to move it rather than just copy and paste it, if you were to paste Command V, then you see it actually keeps a copy in both places. I'm going to undo that, Command Z. And by the way, you should see down here in the corner that any shortcuts I type are going to be showing up here in the corner. But if you hit Option Command V, it actually moves it over. So Option Command V will move it, and now I know that I've put it in the right place. So let's do the same thing with these two audio takes. So this one looks like it's a little longer, says it's about 1 minute and 55, 48 kilohertz, 24-bit, and this one is only 2 seconds long. So this is just like a specific little clip. So let's go ahead and take both of those for now, and I'm going to copy them, Command C, come over to my production audio and paste Option Command V, and that's going to move them. So instead of just paste with Command V, Option Command V. Let's go to our graphics. In our graphics, we've got some different files, image file types. So we've got PNGs, JPEGs, After Effects graphics, which we're not going to need, but sometimes things like that are going to be thrown in, and we're not necessarily going to reuse their After Effects graphics. You're going to add your own, but there is a difference between things like a PNG, which you can see, for example, if I open this up, it's actually got a transparent background. You can see actually even the stuff behind it. That lets you know that this has a transparent background. So everything around this image is going to show through anything that's underneath it. JPEGs, on the other hand, also a common image file, but does not have the option of transparency. You notice you cannot see anything through that. So let's go ahead and take all of these. I'm going to select all with Command A, copy Command C, and let's come over. In this case, these are graphic files, but they are graphic sources. In other words, these are the original files. They've not been put into Photoshop or Illustrator or an image editor and changed. If we pulled them into Photoshop and made some fixes, and then we export that or render that, we would put those changed versions here in graphic renders. These are the originals right here. So let's just copy Command C, come over to our graphic sources, and Option Command V to move them all over. Fantastic. How about our sounds? Well, we've got a couple little sounds here. I'm going to delete that one so it's not in there anymore, but we've got our sound effects, which is a little like camera click sound, and we've got some music. Okay, so this music is going to be something that we will drag and drop. We could move it over to our audio. I want to put that here in audio and actually put it in music. And then our sound effects, I'm going to copy this and put that here into sound effects, Option Command V. So we've moved all that over, and finally we have some stock footage, which has testimonials, stock footage we'll use in the video, And so all of those, again, can be quick looked by hitting the space bar and then using the up and down arrow keys to move through that list. So let's select all, Command A selects all of them, copy with Command C, and let's go put that over here in the stock footage folder. Option Command V, and you'll see it all moves over. And finally, we have these captions. This caption file is an SRT file, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, and then come over here to, let's just put it here. I'm going to actually put it here in my project files as well, but I'm going to Option Command V to move that over. It's not technically a project file, but it is a separate type of file that we'll use to add captions later on. So now that I've got all that moved over, I can actually just delete that folder that doesn't have anything. That's the file from the client. We've organized it all into our folder, and we're ready to go ahead and import those into Premiere. So let's go ahead and Command Tab over to Premiere and get Premiere opened up. And now with Premiere open, let's go ahead and make a new project. And up here at the top, it's going to ask us what we want to name it, etc. So let's Command Tab over to this window and get to our instructions. We've downloaded and organized. We've put them in the correct folders. We're going to create a new Premiere project and import all the files. And we need a new sequence, name 2450, last name, first name, social, add, edit. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab this whole thing and copy, Command C. And let's come over here. I'm going to paste that as the project name, social, add, edit. And I need to go to the project location and tell her where I want it to go. So choose location. And I'm going to dive back to my desktop. I think I was already there, but go into my project folder, into that common media folder, and we want to save this in the project files. All right, so let's go ahead and now that we've got this, we're going to save it here to our project files folder. So you can see that's this last one. And let's go ahead and give it a name, 2450-Adam-Nathan-social edit 16x9. All right, and so once we create that, you can see we've got our project up here at the top. It's named correctly, and now I'm ready to import my files. All right, so let's go ahead now, and we need to create a new project and import all the files. So we can either come down here and double click, or the shortcut is Command I. You can see that Command I down here. And let's go to our folder. I'm going to hit Shift Command D to go straight to the desktop, find that social, add, edit, find all my files in here, and I need the original assets folder. I need that audio. Let's see, we imported graphics and we imported stock footage. So I'm holding down the Command key, which lets me select these things separately. And I'm just going to import all of those folders because we actually put some production footage in there. Now, mind you, it's only going to bring in the folders that actually have something in it. So we did not put anything in production stills. So for example, it'll only bring in the folders in here that actually have content. So I'm going to hit import. And as it imports, you notice it gives me this little file import failure, and that's because in that graphics, those graphic sources, we had those After Effects graphics, and I actually don't have any After Effects graphic, or I don't have After Effects installed on this computer. So if you get this, double check it, because if you accidentally imported a Word doc or something that Premiere can't edit, it might tell you that. If it says it's trying to open up After Effects, you might have to just cancel and go and select those things separately. So when you do your import, go into your graphic sources and select everything except for those After Effects graphics in order for it to import them correctly. So anyway, just a quick heads up, I'm going to cancel that since they're already imported. So now I've got my original assets. There's my video file, which I can double click and play back. Looks like that's going to be recording okay. Sweet. All right, so our files are imported. And let's switch back over here to our instructions and then create a new sequence, name it 2450, last name, first name, social, add, edit, 16:9. So I'm just going to copy that and pop back over here. Now, to make a new sequence, of course, we can click on this new sequence button down here at the bottom and click on sequence. But then we would have to know like what kind of file format this was recorded in. Was it recorded in Canon? Was it recorded on DV or ProRes? It's a bunch of possibilities. The simplest way to do this is to simply take your video file, whatever represents the majority of your footage, and if you drag and drop that down onto the sequence, that's going to create a new sequence with the wrong name because it'll name it after the file that you pull it in. And you can tell right here, if I zoom in, that this is a video file with audio because you see a film strip and audio, and this is a sequence because it shows a bunch of clips and a playhead, so we can tell that that's a sequence right there. So I'm simply going to click on the name of that, and let's paste in this correct name and go through and like actually change it. So I'm going to call that Nathan, and then I'm going to go change this last name to Adam, And once we've changed all that, all right, I think that should get us there. So close. I'm naming this one way or the other. Awesome. So now that that's changed, you can actually see right here it's changed that as well. So now we've got our video clip, and you can hear that it does not have great audio. So the next thing we're going to look at in the instructions is how to synchronize the video and audio. We've got the best take, we've pulled it in, we need to synchronize the video and audio and then nudge the final audio. One thing when I hit play here, you can hear the audio is not great. It is the audio from the camera. So fortunately here in production audio, we've added this NSM Audio Take 6. So here's a perfect example though where it's like, which file is it? So in Premiere, we can use the tilde key. If we hit the tilde key, it's right above the tab key on the left side of your keyboard. Tilde will toggle any window that you have your mouse over full screen. So this is a quick way to be able to navigate around very easily. And so this is going to enable us to blow this up nice and big. And then if you hover between these columns here at the top, you can actually stretch that out and give us some useful information. For example, take 6 audio versus this extracted. I could also see the duration, and I see this one's 1:55. This one's only 2 seconds. So I'm pointing this out because sometimes you will have files that look very similar, but you can look for clues like, oh, this one's 2 minutes, this one's almost 2 minutes, minute and a half. And as a result, this is probably the one that we need. So in fact, it definitely is. So I hit the tilde key to drop it back down. And I'm just going to take this and go ahead and drag and drop it down to a lower level here. But I can see that they're not perfectly in sync. Now, let's rehearse our shortcuts or remember those. So the plus key will zoom us in, the minus key will zoom us out. So it's showing up as equals down here because the plus key and the equals here are the same. So plus zooms us in, minus zooms us out, and backslash fills the screen. So it zooms us to whatever level we need to fill the screen. In addition, we a lot of times need our tracks to be taller. So if they're taller, we can see these waveforms a little better. So if plus and minus move us in and out, you actually can combine that with modifier keys so that shift, plus, and minus make your tracks taller or shorter, shrinks them between 2 different sizes. So we can see these and try to line them up with the good audio. Or command plus and minus makes just your video tracks taller. Option plus and minus makes just your audio tracks taller and shorter, or simply I most of the time use shift plus and minus to go between a really short track so I can see more tracks, and shift plus if I need to see a couple specifically. Now, we could try to zoom in and move these into place until they were perfect, but there's actually an even easier way. I'm going to simply click and drag to select them all, right click on them and choose synchronize. And when it brings up synchronize, what we can do is tell it by, we don't want the clip start or end because they don't start or end at the same time. But if we choose audio, it's going to analyze the audio and line up the audio in this clip with the audio in this clip. So I can hit OK and watch. Bink, you can see it just moved over. If they were way out of time, same thing though. Right click, synchronize by the audio and hit OK. Boom, and it'll synchronize them in place. Now, this is going to get us pretty close, but you'll notice, and this happens a lot, sometimes you're going to run into drift issues with a camera. So if I hit play here, I'm going to mute that audio from her mic, and let's just hear the difference. Here is the original. Let me mute the new audio. Sounds far away, sounds tinny. And let's listen to the new one.
Less and living more.
And it's definitely much closer, much more present.
The problem.
Great. So now that we've got that, I'm going to go ahead, and what I want to do is delete this old audio and lock this clip with the video. So what I can do is come to this first clip, right click on it, and let's choose unlink. So when we right click, we get this menu and we can unlink it. So now the video and audio are separate. So I'm actually going to just select this bad audio and just delete it. I don't need it anymore. But when I come in here and I hit play, you'll notice that even though it was perfectly synchronized with the audio that was on the camera, the audio on the camera was actually a little bit off. If you look, you can see
if you're a struggling nurse,
that her lip sync is not exactly perfect. And sometimes that happens when you're capturing from cameras and other devices simultaneously. You can get to where the sync is not perfect. So we need to actually fix this. So let me show you how. I'll delete that again. I'm going to zoom in here. And what we want to do is look for some sort of hard sound. Now, if we'd done this properly, there would have been a clap or some sort of visual sync that we could see on the screen and line up with a spike. But as it is right now, we're going to try to do that with her lips. So we're going to look for some sort of hard consonant sound like a buh, a tuh, something we could see on her lips and synchronize that audio with it. So I'm going to hit play.
Look If you're a struggling nursing student, you should be studying less and living more.
So right there, maybe we could do it with more. I'm going to zoom in and watch this.
And living more.
So right here, you can see the more.
Less and living more.
Okay.
The problem.
So in this case, maybe the m, we'll see her lips say m because we can see this l right here. So I'm going to look for, I see right here the audio of more. So here it is, the more. You can use the right and left arrows to move through it slowly. More. So there we see the more. Now let's watch her for where she says the We can see the m sound. So right here, I'm just going to hit the right arrow. So looks like about 6 or 7 frames before she started to actually say that m, that more. So let's try this. What we want to do is move this over exactly 5 or 6 frames. Now you can click it and try to drag it. And if you do that, I mean, it would work, but it's very difficult to be precise. You can see the little gray box right below my arrow is showing 5 frames moved. So the way to do it instead is to select this, and with the Command key held down, the right and the left arrow keys will toggle it or shuffle it or nudge it by 1 frame. So I'm going to Command right arrow, 3, 4, 5, and let's see if that's any closer.
You should be studying less and living more.
Pretty close, but 5 might not be quite enough. I'm going to select this one more time and put it over 1 more frame.
And living more.
Pretty close. So let's try this and let's see if we can find any others that get it a little bit closer.
The problem is you don't understand nursing school, or you don't know how to read hundreds of pages.
Okay, so pages is going to be really visible.
Hundreds of
There we go. Actually, her mouth opened up right on the sound. So that'll get really faster.
Hundreds of pages.
So this is looking good. So it looks like it was about 5 or 6 frames to nudge it over to get in place. Now I want these to be treated like they were all the same piece of audio. So first, let's trim off the beginnings that we don't need. Take 8. All right, so I'm just going to switch to my blade tool, which I do with the C key. That's going to give me this little cut razor blade tool. And you can either click individually on them, and that'll cut them both at that playhead, or you can actually just hold the Shift key down. And with that held down, that's actually going to just cut all those clips at once. So I'll switch back to the V key so I have my full selection and delete this because I want these clips to start at the exact same time. And now finally, let's go ahead and put them to where they're right on adjacent tracks. So I'm going to take this audio clip and I could drag it up and it'll probably be fine. But you also, if you simply hold down the Option key and then hit the up and down when you select it, that'll move that clip up and down. So let's put it right there underneath it. Let's come over to the end. Let's trim off the end. I'm going to unmute this so I can hear it.
More. We'll see you there.
Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to switch back to my cut tool. That's my razor blade. Hold down the Shift key so I can cut off both at the same time. And I'm going to delete the end. So that gives us a nice clean clip that now just needs to be linked together. Remember how earlier we unlinked the audio? So I'm going to select these, right click, and then choose to link them. And now they're going to be treated like a single clip. Now, there is a synchronize function, so I'll show you that later in class, because we could just take the audio and the video, and you can actually right-click. And if the video had its audio perfectly in sync, you can simply right-click these and choose to merge them by audio, and it'll actually do all those steps we just did and give you one immediate clip. So watch this. If I just click this and leave it as merged, say use audio, and even remove the audio from the AV clip, as soon as I hit OK, boom, it makes this new merged clip. When I drag and drop it out, you can see it did all those steps for us, but I still would have to come in here and nudge this around because that audio that it synchronized with was not actually perfectly synchronized to her lips. Just something that happens sometimes. So, but I wanted you to see all the steps that happen when you do one of those merged. So I'm gonna go and delete that, and now we've got our clip ready to go. So jumping back to our instructions, we've nudged the audio, we deleted the camera audio, and we've relinked these files together. So now we need to get into editing.